Hello folks, I hope you're all doing well. It's a bit cold, it's a bit miserable, and just as I've pressed record, it has started to rain. But not to worry, we're in the greenhouse, and I've got a lovely job to do today. So I'm getting some early sweet peas on the go. And this is absolutely 100% a bit of a nod to our old friend Steve from Greenside Up, who sadly passed away last year. Now, Steve was a massive fan of sweet peas, and he grew loads of them, and he had a big structure especially for it because his wife Anne loved them, so he grew them and they were marvellous. So I'm following in Steve's footsteps, and I'm absolutely copying what he did with his, because he grew the most marvellous sweet peas you've ever seen. And if I can get anywhere near that, I will be so happy. Now, let's start off with the seed, and this is why I've got my glasses on today, so I can actually read the packet. So I've been through Steve's old videos to look at these sweet pea ones, and I've managed to track down the exact ones that he uses. So these are the same seed that he used, and this is a special one. Let me show you there. This is called the Chelsea Collection. And that's from a company that I'd not heard before called Eagle Sweet Peas. So they're a sweet pea specialist, and they've got a nice little royal crest on the packet and that there. So they must be doing something right. And the Chelsea Collection's got 8 superb varieties for colour and perfume, suitable for exhibition. Now, I don't do exhibitions. I don't go in for the competitions, the growing and things like that. But I remember Steve saying that these sweet peas, they're not your sort of typical nice little delicate kind of sweet peas that you see. These are big blousy blooms that give off loads of scent, loads of colour, are massive and big and in your face. So we're going to get some of these on the go. There's some lovely instructions on the back there, and this is I've done sweet peas before, and interestingly enough, there's a technique on the back. It says, do not soak or chip the seed. Now, I always used to soak my sweet pea seed, but if Eagle Sweet Peas are the sweet pea specialists, we aren't going to soak these. So I haven't even, you can see I've not even opened the packet here. In fact, let's open the packet now and see what we've got inside. All the packets are the same, but we'll just show you there. This is what they come like inside and what they look like. We've got all the different varieties there. So I've not soaked them. That's the main difference to start with. But what I'll do to show you how I am going to do them is we'll just switch round to this end of the greenhouse where I've got the tray and things set up. We'll have a bit of a chat about the compost and the different techniques that I'm going to use to get these on the go, and we'll see what sort of sweet peas we can come up with. So back with you in just a jiffy. So, a couple of things. First things first, I'm going to be using one of these. This is a deep root trainer. This is perfect for growing beans and peas and things like that in, because you get a nice long healthy root system in here. This particular one here is from a company called Containerwise, and rather annoyingly, even though it's a brilliant product, honestly, I love these containers. They're solid plastic. They will last for years and years and years. But, and there's always a but, it only has 7 rows, and I've got 8 varieties of sweet peas. That is not Containerwise's fault. That is not Eagle Sweet Peas' fault. It is just an annoying coincidence. So, we've got 8 varieties. We've got 7 rows. I'll make it work somehow. Well, maybe I'll fudge it a little bit and do something. Compost. That's the other important thing here. Now, generally, I use a type of compost called Melcourt Silvergrow for doing all my seeds. Now, here in Scotland, there's a double bank holiday over New Year, and then the garden centre, the only garden centre I know around here that sells the Melcourt compost, was closed on the 3rd as well. So I had to go to, wait for it, Dobbies. And I apologise for going to Dobbies to get something, but I needed proper seed sown compost, and this is the one I got. It is Dobbies' own brand seed sown compost. This is the painful part. It was $6.99 for only 25 litres. Now that is expensive for compost. I mean, it is nice compost. It is okay. It's a little bit sandy. I can feel in my hands a little bit sandy, and I'm okay with that because that means it's going to be free draining for the water in the compost. And I've also mixed in some perlite, and let me show you that here. This is perlite. Again, I got this from Dobbies because I was struggling for anywhere else at the time. It is expensive to buy it in these Grow-Sure bags like this, about 10 quid for a bag that size. You can get it on Amazon so much cheaper, the perlite. I'll put a link in the description down below. You can buy a bag 10 times the size of that one, literally 10 times the size, for double the price. So for like 20 quid, just over 20 quid, you can get 10 times the amount of perlite. It is worth shopping around. That will probably last you forever and a day. It will last ages. So go along, have a look on Amazon, get some perlite. Now, the only thing I've done here is I've mixed the perlite and the compost together. The perlite, again, is going to help manage the moisture inside that compost, because I don't want the seeds rotting or causing problems with things. I had problems last year. I'm a little bit paranoid about that. I had problems last year with some of my tomatoes where I overwatered them, and that caused problems with fungus gnats. So I am on top of the moisture management this year in terms of keeping things right, and perlite is going to be my best friend this year, and it just helps to manage the moisture in the compost. You know, it sort of maintains the moisture where it needs to be and doesn't let everything else get too wet, which is pretty much what I'm aiming for. So all I've done there is, it's always a fine balance in here where I've got the camera between chopping the top of my head off and getting you to see what's in the sort of green tray here. But I've just filled that deep root trainer with compost, and I've just gently pressed it down just a little bit, because we don't want it to be really, really tight and compact, the compost, but we want it to be a little bit tight because we don't want the sweet pea seeds sitting in any little air gaps or anything like that. We want them to get full sort of contact with the compost, and that'll help them to germinate. And like I said before, we've got all these little packets here out of the Chelsea collection, and I'm just going to I'll probably do 4 of each, which is maybe a little bit sketchy for germination, because if I don't get full germination, maybe it's going to be a few plants short. And it says on the instructions there, actually, when you're sowing the seed, to plant them at a 3/4 inch depth. So I'm just sort of putting them on the top of the compost there, and what I'll do at the end is I'm going to cover them all up and then just gently push the compost down again on top. So it'll be about it's not an exact science, it'll be about 3/4 inch. Might be a little bit more, might be a little bit less, doesn't massively matter. We'll be fine doing that. So I'm going to whip along here, get all the rest of those sweet peas in, and I'll come back to you in just a jiffy there. So, almost done with these sweet peas. I'm just checking my labels there to make sure I've got them in the right order. One quick thing just to mention while I'm finishing this job off is that I have finally given in and started a Patreon. So for those of you who don't know what a Patreon is, it's a way of sort of, if you enjoy these videos and you want to support the channel, it's your way of showing that or doing that. And I'll put a link to the description down below. And when I've got these things planned for, like the sweet peas, for example, if I need to go and buy a load of timber to come out there and build a big structure to do the sweet peas in, that's exactly what the sort of thing Patreon will be used for. It also helps me to develop as a creator and maybe get new equipment and things like that, and hopefully make these videos better and more improved all the time. But that's enough from me on Patreon. I'm not going to labour it too much. It's a bit funny me mentioning that because I've never done anything like that before, and Patreon is all a bit new to me. But you will get extra things for being on the Patreon. You'll get different stuff on there. So please just go and have a look. That's all I ask. Go and have a wee peek at that. So that's nearly all these seeds done, and I'm just topping up the little sort of cells. I don't know if you call them cells in a root trainer. I guess you do. And when I'm doing this in sort of, I know it was like I said at the start, a bit of a nod to Steve at Greenside Up, and I'm being ever so careful because I can just see him and hear him sort of telling me what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong, and I'm not just sort of scattering the compost on the top and squashing it down like I normally would with most things. I'm being very, very delicate and very gentle. So that's all of those trays topped up, and let me get the right label here. The last one there, Ballerina Blue, a beautiful pale blue one. Now, I mentioned as well, there's only 7 rows here. I've got another route trainer out there somewhere. I'm gonna do another row of the one I haven't got room for, which is Misty. I've got the label there, and Misty is, let me read off the packet, a mauve flush colour. So we'll get some of them done. I'm probably also going to do, because I've got the route train, it's not as big as this one, but I'll do some spares. I'll do 1 or 2 of each of the others as well. Like I said before, I'm just a little bit paranoid about getting really good germination here. Speaking of germination, what am I now going to do with these to get them to germinate? Now, I'm not going to leave them in the greenhouse. It's a bit cold out here overnight at the moment still. So they're going to come in the house. They're not going to go on heat. They're not going to be put in a heated propagator, anything like that. They're going to sit in my spare room, I think, and I'm just going to put some newspaper over the top of them. I'm not going to water them all until they germinate as well. So the compost already, that compost I mentioned before, honestly, the bag, it's only 25 litres, but it weighs a ton, because when I went to Dobby's, it was all outside and uncovered, and it's been raining. It always rains here in Scotland, and it's soaked through. It is wet. Look, if I do that, you can see it sort of clumps together how wet it is. But believe it or not, I am going to use my trusty Irn-Bru watering bottle, and I'm going to give these a bit of a soaking, because the instructions from Eagle Sweet Peas there says to give them an absolute soaking, and you do that, and like I just said, until there's germination, they'll not get any more water whatsoever. So they're going to get a good soaking. There's holes in the bottom of these deep root trainers. I'm just going to leave this probably on the back doorstep for a half an hour, and just make sure all that excess water drips out the holes at the bottom, and then they're going to go inside, and we'll leave them there in the spare room, and hopefully we'll get some germination. Now, they are pretty hardy once they've germinated, and I'll do something else on this at the time. They will come down here to what is essentially an unheated greenhouse. Now, they're pretty hardy sweet peas. These will do me down to about -5. Now, I do have a little temperature monitor here in the greenhouse that I come down and check. That's just a little one that runs on a battery. It's not connected to anything. I've got to come down and check it manually. You can get, so Tony and JB shared a thing in the, we've got a Potty Mouth chat WhatsApp group, and Tony and JB shared a thing with us last night that they've got a Wi-Fi connected one that you can put the probes in different places, and it tells you on your phone what the temperatures are. But alas, my greenhouse is too far away from the house for it to get a Wi-Fi signal, which is a bit annoying. But if you want to go and see it on Amazon, again, the Wi-Fi one and this one here, I'll chuck a link in the description down below. Go and have a look. You can see all the bits and pieces that I use, or the other guys are using to get our things on the go. So that's pretty much about it at the moment. If you wouldn't mind, if you like this video, if you like what's going on here, please think about subscribing. It's absolutely free. Just click the sort of red button down below. Or if you wait till the very end of the video, a thing pops up and you can click on that and subscribe as well. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Leave me comments down below. Do you do sweet peas? What varieties of sweet peas are you doing? Are you going to go off to Eagle Sweet Peas? Speaking of links, I'll put a link to this. I had to go searching about to find Eagle Sweet Peas. They were pretty good in terms of a company. Ordered the stuff, put it through. Delivery was pretty quick. Everything was here in pretty good time. Even sort of over the Christmas and New Year sort of period when everything's dead busy, bank holidays, all that sort of stuff, they got delivered pretty quickly. So I'm pretty impressed with them so far as a company. But anyway, that is me done for today. Thank you very much for watching, folks, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.